This week in Jamaica Now.
I am declaring the road conditions a national emergency.
The government responds to worsening road conditions with a $2 billion emergency road patching program. A child killer said she was frustrated after assuming she contracted HIV from the child's father. And the family feud over hotel mogul Butch Stewart's empire has deepened. I'm Jovan Johnson, and this is Jamaica Now. Jamaica has declared its deteriorating road conditions a national emergency. Prime Minister Andrew Holness made the announcement on Thursday, saying $2 billion has been allocated for immediate repairs.
I am declaring the road conditions a national emergency. Several things will flow from that. Firstly, it is a signal from a policy perspective to all the executives who have statutory authority as to how they should exercise that statutory authority in treating with the issues that flow from this road crisis that we have. For those who are going to come out of the woodwork to criticize, the government has already allocated a significant sum of resource, $45 billion, that was entirely subject to the procurement legislation in the ordinary way. The government is now announcing a further $2 billion Jamaican dollars to be spent on our main road network for patching and reinstating the roads to drivable condition. This will be done following the law as well, using emergency procurement rules. We expect that the work will begin immediately.
Mr. Holness says the National Works Agency will mobilize the 21 biggest contractors to help with the program. The $2 billion initiative is separate from the $45 billion road repair program called Spark, which was also launched on Thursday. The Prime Minister was speaking at the signing of the contract with China Harbour Engineering Company. The road announcement came days after the police reported that a 72-year-old woman was killed after the driver of a car in which she was travelling swerved to avoid potholes and collided head-on with another vehicle along the Walkerswood Main Road in St. Anne. The incident happened on November 30. It's the third death resulting from pothole-related collisions in almost 2 months. And officials at Lennon High School in Mocho, Clarendon are leading calls for a more reliable transportation system for students in the wake of Monday's vehicular crash that claimed the lives of 2 students. 3 other students were hospitalized. There was an appeal for blood for one of them. The police report that a grey Toyota Probox collided with a black Subaru Impreza along the Bustamante Highway in the vicinity of Yorktown. A male and a female student died.
7 persons in general were in the accident and 2 have succumbed.
All right, so initial reports indicate that the accident occurred as a result of a chase with Transport Authority.
Any facts that?
I cannot confirm that. What I do know is that both vehicles, in particular, one of the vehicles were speeding, and that would have caused the accident. The investigation is in its initial stage, and so as we proceed further, then we'll be able to give even clearer understanding as to what may have occurred.
All right, the 2 students, can you say which of the vehicle they were traveling in?
Both students, from what we were told, were in the Subaru motor car.
Transport Minister Dalrymple has rejected reports that officials from the Transport Authority were chasing one of the vehicles involved in the crash. The driver of the Subaru was held at the Norman Manley International Airport in Kingston less than 3 hours after the incident. Ainsworth Kelly, a guidance counsellor at Lennon High, expressed frustration with the current transportation arrangements for students in the rural area. He said students have to rely on taxis and a special bus service could help with the safer transportation of the students. The Transport Minister says the government will pursue a rural school bus service, which he says is long overdue. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has been granted permission by the Supreme Court to challenge the Integrity Commission's investigation report on his financial affairs, which he claims is unlawful and unfair. However, he did not get permission to pursue some of the major orders he was seeking. Justice Althea Jarrett handed down her judgment on Friday. A judicial review allows the court to scrutinize processes used by a public authority to make decisions. It does not examine the merits of the decisions. The Prime Minister applied to the Supreme Court on September 30 for 21 orders or declarations, including the judicial review. Mr. Holness was granted permission to pursue 2 orders for the investigation report and a special report to be rejected. The court refused Mr. Holness's request for permission to apply for an order compelling the Integrity Commission to certify his 2021 income filings and to exonerate him. In the controversial 171-page report, the Commission's Director of Investigation, Kevin Stevenson, said he could not conclude on the question of illicit enrichment and highlighted unexplained financial discrepancies in Mr. Holness's 2021 income filings and raised questions about tax compliance and transactions of over $470 million involving connected companies. Meanwhile, the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court has set a new date of December 13 to rule whether Jamaica Labour Party MP Marisa Dalrymple Philibert must answer allegations brought against her by the Integrity Commission. The decision was due on Friday, but the judge said he needed more time. Mrs. Dalrymple Philibert is being prosecuted by the Commission for allegedly lying in her income and assets filings. Mrs. Dalrymple Philibert and a fellow JLP member, Dwayne Smith, were sworn in as members of Parliament on Tuesday following their election last month. Mr. Smith was elected to replace Dr. Nigel Clark, who resigned in October to take up a job at the International Monetary Fund. Mrs. Dalrymple Philibert is returning to the House after she resigned last year as MP and Speaker in the wake of the Integrity Commission's ruling against her. A policeman who admitted to being dishonest in entries he made in a station diary was severely castigated by a judge on Monday. His dishonesty forced the judge to free 25-year-old labourer Nico Hines of Grandspan in St. Andrew, who was charged with illegal possession of 51 rounds of ammunition. The policeman, who was the sole witness for the prosecution, was being cross-examined by King's Counsel Peter Champagny and Attorney-at-Law Samoy Campbell when he admitted to being dishonest in his testimony. The lawyers are representing Mr. Hines. Now, in his evidence, the policeman told the court that during a raid, the ammunition was found in the ceiling of Mr. Hines' bedroom on April 3 this year. He also said a magazine casing was found in another section of the ceiling after an additional search was conducted. It was stated in the station diary entries that the magazine casing was found in a tenement yard near a fowl coop. But when pressed further by Mr. Champagny as to whether the entries in the diary were true, the policeman said they were not. He said he was forced by another policeman to make the false entries. Dental assistant Kayodi Satchell, who admitted to slashing 8-year-old Danielle Rowe's throat last June, told a court this week that she murdered the child after assuming she contracted HIV from the child's father. Mr. Satchell's lawyer, Pierre Rogers, in making the revelation, said his client never planned on killing the child, but did so out of frustration after her attempts to have the father prosecuted fell on deaf ears. Ms. Satchell was expected to be sentenced on Monday, but it was postponed to December 20. Meanwhile, the 32-year-old child killer who last month pleaded guilty to murder and child stealing broke down in tears and was seen sobbing as she was led from the courtroom. She was also observed whispering an apology to Danielle's mother and sister from the dock. Danielle's mother and sister wept openly in court as the impact of Danielle's death on the family was read out. Court officials were also seen in tears. Danielle was abducted from her school on June 8 last year and found later that day with her throat slashed. She died 2 days later. A survey of salaries conducted among 119 companies in 20 Caribbean countries released this week found that Jamaica may have the lowest salaries in the region on average. According to the survey, the salaries in Jamaica fell below the regional average in 91% of the roles surveyed, which was the highest percentage among the countries surveyed. The Caribbean Salary Survey report, Pay Pulse 2024, was produced by the Caribbean Society for Human Resource Professionals in collaboration with CaribbeanJobs.com. The Bahamas emerged as the salary leaders, particularly in executive and specialized positions, followed by St. Kitts and Nevis and Barbados. The survey analyzed the salaries in 78 roles in 34 industries across the region, from top positions such as CEO, General Manager and Chief Marketing Officer, to entry-level positions including janitor, cashier and receptionist. The family feud over the multi-billion-dollar estate of late hotel mogul Gordon Butch Stewart has escalated, with executors now seeking Jamaican Supreme Court authorization to carry out an audit of the Adam Stewart-led ATL group. But Adam and 2 of his siblings, Jamie Stewart McConnell and Brian Jardim, all children of Butch, have hit back by asking the court to remove 2 of the executors. Butch's personal lawyer, Trevor Patterson, and his common-law widow, Cheryl Hammersmith Stewart. Adam has also accused Mr. Patterson of forging a document which purportedly contains Butch's wishes for a trust. The document said Butch wanted to add other relatives, including Mrs. Hammersmith Stewart, to the trust. The initial beneficiaries were Adam and Jamie alone. But Mr. Patterson has rejected the allegations. He explained that prior to his death, Butch had intended to add himself as a beneficiary, but later changed his mind and intended for other family members to be added. Butch died in January 2021. And that's it for this edition of Jamaica Now, your weekly review of the big news stories. Send us your comments at onlinefeedback@gleanerjm.com. Follow us on X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram at Jamaica Gleaner, and on Facebook at Gleaner Jamaica. Like this video on our YouTube page, turn on your notification, and subscribe today. I'm Jovan Johnson.